Welcome to the rock tumbler video where we show the results. And I'm going to show you every step of the way. In fact, I'm going to show you a little clip of where Ona started out to make this barrel full with all the rough rocks. We're going to show you pictures of the rough rocks before we started. We're going to show you how she loaded the barrel real quick. And then we're going to flip to all the increments in between. Of course, Ona put the first grit in when we started. But then we have a section to show you what it looks like at the step where we added the second grit and the third grit. And we'll show you all the pictures in between. And then finally, where we put the polish on. We're getting a look at what they look like after over 6 weeks of polishing and grinding these stones down in the rock tumbler. It was a real fun process for me, but let me show you what they look like now. This is sodalite.
Yeah, and this is like another Dalmatian jasper.
Now that's a nice size, right?
Mm-hmm.
And look at the sodalite, how it glistens, right? Imagine how this will be when it's shiny.
Mm-hmm.
Right, can you see? That's about how full we want it to be. 1/2 to 3/4 full.
Let me see the Dalmatian one close, because I'm interested.
Where is
that
it?
one, that big one.
Oh, it's right here.
Hold it still.
Oh, alright.
See the spots?
Yeah.
The Dalmatian.
That's going to be fancy when it's done.
Yeah.
You're definitely going to get that one in the mail.
Yeah.
Okay, now we need to pick one of the grits.
So it would be grit 1.
Okay, 5 days later, this actually just stopped a few minutes ago, but I kept it tumbling so we keep everything fresh and loose in here so I can open up and show you. So that completes grit number 1. Okay, we're going to unscrew this. And we have to pry this off carefully. And then screw this back on and use it as a tool. That's how we're going to remove the lid. Now look how nice that seal held. It didn't leak anything out, so that's really nice. Put this next door here. I have a bucket handy so that we don't have to put any of this grit down the sink. Normally we go outside and use the hose, but it's a little bit cold out there and a little bit dark. So here we are on New Year's Eve, and I'm going to pour this through a colander, but take a look at it as I pour. It really looks like cement water. Oh my goodness, I'm so surprised at what I see. Look, this is definitely gritty and like cement, but look how it already changed the stones. Oh my gosh, they're already starting to get smooth, rounded edges. Oh, this is exciting. Okay, I'm going to put them down here in the colander. And you can see this is what we don't want to put down the drain, all this cement grit, because it will clog the drain up eventually. So I have a pitcher of water here to rinse everything into the bucket. We want to have a fresh start. Okay, now I know it's hard to get the camera down in here, but look how nice. Shiny. Of course they're shiny because there's water on it, but look how the appearances have changed. This is incredible for just the first round. Oh, there's the sodalite we were looking at. Remember how rough and powdery that was to start? The other one that was really a superstar here, the tiger's eye. Wow. Isn't that cool? Oh, I can't wait to see the next step, right? We rinse this a little bit more. Oh, look at the side of that tiger eye. Wow. What a difference. Give them another rinse. We're going to take these rocks from step 1, put them back in. Now I remember last time it was filled like 3/4 full, between half and 3/4. Now look how much of the rock we already lost. We're down to just a half of the container. That's why I guess you start out with a full container.
Which one did owner want? The Dalmatian stone or something?
Oh yeah. Remember, owner really liked the Dalmatians.
Is that what that's called?
Yeah, that's a Dalmatian Jasper. And look, now you can start to see the brown spots in there. We really couldn't see that before. And we were afraid that the small ones might get too small, but they're still here. Little, but they're here. Check that out, Ona. Wait till you see the next step. She'd like the sodalite too. Alright, so we're going to take the next grit, which is medium, number 2. And we're going to pour this in. Now you can, oh, it still has that diamond-like appearance. Real shiny. Looks like diamond dust. Now the trick here was to just cover it with water. Just till you get to the top of the stones. Then we're going to seal it back up. One thing I wanted to say was inside this barrel there's little bumps all the way around, and that's what helps the rocks to turn. Okay, and we're going to get this wet just like before so it seals good. Take out the handle, replace the lid, make sure it's tight all the way around. And we're going to fasten it back down. This grit number 2 says 6 to 8 days. Well, our tumbler only goes up to 7 days, so we'll take advantage of the 7 days. And my sister gave me some advice, and that is to start the tumbler before you start laying the canister on there. Alright, 7 days. And that way it doesn't work on the motor quite as hard if you already have it running when you sit it down. Alright, we'll be back in 7 days. We'll check it out again. This is awesome. I can't wait to see. Alright, we're ready to start step number 3 here in the rock tumbler. And today we're going to check on the results of grit number 2, and we're going to switch over to grit number 3. So take this now and open it up. Alright, you know how to do it now. Loosen it up. We're going to take this juicy grit water and pour it through a sifter. Oh boy. Look at that. They got more rounded edges now. And the pieces got smaller, and the tumbler has a lot of grit, and we'll wash that out with a pitcher of water. But let's take a closer look. Alright, a container of clear water here. We're going to pour this over. Wash off all the grit. It'll be nice in the summer. We can do all this outside in the driveway with the hose. For now, we'll collect the water and dump it outside. All right. Now let's take a towel here and take a good look. Now you recognize some of these stones from the last video for when we added grit number 2. And this was Ona's favorite here. It's getting more rounded edges, and so are some of these that look like aventurine, sodalite. Oh, this is what I was dreaming about last night. Sodalite. And tiger's eye. Tiger's eye is looking pretty. Now these are wet and it will give the appearance of polish. We're going to keep sanding them down with the next level of grit, and I'm sure the sides will change somewhat too. But this part here where you can really see the beauty of a tiger's eye is beautiful. I think there was another piece here that was also pretty. Look at that. And a third. Oh my goodness. Ona, look at that. I wish Ona was here today. But she'll see the final product when we're done. Isn't that awesome? Okay, a little bit of grit is bringing out all these beautiful colors. The sodalite in this collection is really nice. We're still trying to figure out what this one is. But I think the secret will be revealed. Maybe it's a petrified wood. Alright, so what we do now, repeat the process, and we add grit number 3. And this one should take 7 or 8 days. So let's load up the canister. Every time the amount of stones that we work with gets smaller because it's turning into sand. Alright, let's put these in, see how full it is. Like, look at this. It's a little sliver of tiger eye. I wonder if it'll still be here when we open the jar next time. See, as the stones start to dry up a little, you can see they're not as shiny as when they had water on them. But that's what the polish is for in the last step. See, it kind of looks a little unpolished here. But the thing that's happening is the edges are getting smoothed out. Like a stone that's in the ocean or something, piece of glass, sea glass, has this kind of look after it's been tumbled in the ocean for so long. Fine grit number 3. This looks like cement dust. Now if you remember, the other grits that we put on were real sparkly, real shiny, like they had crystals ground up in them, and this is not like that. This just looks like very fine milled powder cement, but it is called grit. So just over the stones with water. And just do that in the sink. Alright, just so it's covering the tops. And then we're going to assemble again. Snap that in there. the lid back on to keep it secure. Every time we put it on, it goes on a little bit easier, right? Tighten it up, keep everything together. I'm going to start out with 7 days on this tumbler since it only goes up to 7. When the 7 are complete, I'm going to reset it for 2 more days after that. And start the wheel. We'll be back when fine grit number 3 is finished, and the next step is the polish. Okay, see you soon. Alright, we're at the final step, and it feels like there's hardly any rocks in here now, but we're going to open it up and take a look. Okay, so this is the final step coming up, the grit number 4 polish. Pull the lid off. Alright, again it looks like cement water in there. Let's see what comes up this time. Okay, the rock pile is getting smaller, wouldn't you say? But they are definitely getting more rounded. Look at some of the pieces. See, more colors are coming out now. As we get deeper into the rock. Wow, I can't wait to see this with polish on. Look at the side of this one. Wow, this is gorgeous. Yeah, this is gorgeous. Now, even the jasper is showing layers. Sodalite. Oh, they're beautiful. I just think they're beautiful. But now at this step, oh my gosh, at this step we have to make sure that every bit of grit is off of there, so that when we put the polish in, the polish really shines everything up. So I'm going to rinse these a little bit more to what looks like would actually have no grit. And then my sister, who has experience with this, gave me some tips. And she said, after you think you have all the grit off, and after you clean the canister out thoroughly, then put some dishwashing liquid, just a drop, in here with some water and tumble it for an hour or so. So I'm going to clean this all up right now. Okay, now I thoroughly washed out the container. I couldn't find any grit in there at all. And then I washed the lid real good around the edges to make sure that it was clean. So we're going to take the rocks that I washed and put them back in here. And I've had people say you might want to tumble 2 containers, 2 months of rocks before you put them all together to polish them, but since we're a beginner here, I'm going to polish these anyway and see if I learn something from that. Maybe we need more rocks in the container, although you know this was pretty full and a lot of the rock did tumble off of this. Okay, so for just one quick step here, we're going to take some Dawn dishwashing liquid, just a drop. And I'm going to put some water in there. And this is just to make sure that there's no grit in any of the cracks and crevices of the rocks that we have. Like if there's any little pieces of grit in there, This will help it come out. And just get this tumbling. Alright, we'll give that about an hour to tumble all the dirt off of there. Alright, I feel we gave this a good rinse here. So we're going to take it apart, take a look. Now this is full of soap bubbles. We're going to rinse the stones once more. And then I'm going to rinse out the container to make sure there's no sandy grit in there. I guess you could judge by the color of the water here that there may have been some grit in there. So that was good to do that extra step. Okay, we're going to take all these nice clean stones, put them back in. This time we don't have any little tiny pieces of grit or anything. Alright, now we're going to use grit number 4, polish. See what this one looks like. Very fine powder. We're going to fill this up over top of the rocks again. A little bit more. We'll start up this polisher. Do you know this step takes 8 to 10 days? So we'll start with the first 7. Drop it on. And we're going to put that in the garage again for another 7 days, then I'll add 3 more days to make it 10. We'll be back in 10 days and I'll show you the results. Alright, here it is. The rock tumbler has finished this long stretch of time that it took to polish our rocks. Now, this took a lot more patience than I expected to have. But let's see what we find inside. Take the first lid off. And then we'll use the nut here to pull the rest. Oh. Now, this was the final step, which was step 4, where we used polish instead of grit. So we're going to strain them out first. We'll take another container and we're going to rinse these stones. Now, I first want you to notice we start out with 3/4 of a barrel of stones. This is what's left. Not too much, right? Well, that's why some people say that, you know, save a couple tumblings before you do the polishing step, because you can put them together then and save polish. Alright, let's get them in the sifter here. Alright, now you can also tell by this, before I could hardly fit a mound of these onto this little sifter. Let's just rinse them and see what we get. Again, we're saving this water so we can dump it outside because we don't want to get anything in the drains that has some kind of cement or like business there. Alright, now, wow. You know, these really look nice to me. They're so nicely rounded off. Of course, we don't know what the sheen or polish has done yet, but we can see the shape of them is very nice and comfortable to hold in your fingers. This one here was the superstar. This was the one that Ona picked from the beginning, but look how much smaller it got. And it did get nice rounded edges. Very beautiful. So I'm just going to pour a little more water in here for a little more rinse. see what this is. All right, now these are beautiful, but look at how small some got. One of the smaller, or two of the smaller pieces were also Dalmatian jasper, and we weren't even sure that that would stay big enough through the whole process, showing the best of what's going on inside these rocks, where we couldn't really see that before when it was in a rough form. So we have some beautiful, oh gosh, look at this one. Look at this tiger's eye. It really glistens. Wow. And that's a really cool shape. Stick that in your pocket or hold it in your hand. It fits nicely. Oh, we have lots of stuff here. Nice. Another tiger's eye. Now look what the polishing did for that stone. It really enhanced it. We have some other unknown things here though. We have some smoky quartz, some clear quartz, some aventurine, I would say, some red jasper. Look at this. Look at how that highlighted the bands in there. Wow. This one really brought out light colors and dark colors all in one piece. Oh, I'm so happy with this. The hardest part though was waiting. It took us over 30 days because some of the steps took 8 to 10 days, some of the steps took just 5. It's really a long wait, but I'll tell you what, when you can bring out the beauty like that, you know, look how the light picks that up. What I'm doing here while I'm talking is letting them dry so we can see if the polish is the shiny part or if it's just the water. So this here is sodalite, and you know, this is a beautiful crystal also. So that's the result of our rock tumbling and polishing. I think it's a fun hobby to try, especially if you're going to use your crystals in a lot of different ways. You can also use these for crystal healing as well as decorating your house. And you can also carry these around with you for some extra energy. And Ona, thank you for helping me get started with this. I'll make sure that we send you some of your favorite pieces. Okay everyone, thanks for watching. Peace of energy.